Think these are regular bagels? Think again. These soft golden carnivore bagels are made with simple animal-based ingredients and are perfect for everything from bacon and eggs to deli meats, cream cheese, or just a generous spread of butter. Let's head into the kitchen and make them together. For this recipe, we'll use 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 8 large room temperature eggs, 5 tablespoons of egg white protein powder or egg white powder, 1/4 cup of skim milk powder, 1/2 cup of heavy cream, and 1 tablespoon of collagen powder. We'll start by preheating the oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit or 163 degrees Celsius. While the oven heats, brown the butter over medium heat until it turns golden and develops a rich, nutty aroma. Browning the butter concentrates its flavor, adds depth to the finished bagels, and helps create a more bread-like taste using simple carnivore ingredients. Once it's browned, let it cool until it's warm and no longer hot. Next, we'll whisk the dry ingredients together in one bowl and the wet ingredients in another. Blend together the egg white powder, skim milk powder, collagen powder, and sea salt until evenly combined. Mixing the dry ingredients first like this helps distribute everything evenly throughout the batter and minimizes any clumps. This creates a smoother texture and contributes to a more consistent texture in the finished bagels. The egg white protein powder provides structure, while the skim milk powder helps create a softer, more bread-like crumb. The collagen adds tenderness, giving the bagels a pleasant texture without needing flour. For the free recipe card and nutritional breakdown, please visit carnivorecollections.com. And now we'll separate the eggs. It's important to use room temperature eggs for this recipe because room temperature egg whites whip up much better than they do when they're cold. This creates a lighter batter and helps the bagels rise as they bake. The egg yolks add flavor, richness, and moisture, while the whipped egg whites give the bagel that light texture. Taking the eggs out ahead of time is one small step that can lead to a big difference in the final result. And now we'll blend in the heavy cream. Heavy cream adds richness, moisture, and a smooth texture to the batter. It also helps create a softer, more tender crumb in the finished bagel. And once combined with the warm, browned butter, it gives these bagels a more traditional bread-like taste and texture, while keeping the ingredients simple and carnivore-friendly. At this point, we'll gradually whisk the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients until the batter is smooth and well combined. Mixing them in gradually helps prevent lumps and creates a more even batter. Once everything is incorporated, let the batter sit for about 5 minutes. This gives the egg white protein powder and skim milk powder time to absorb the liquid and fully hydrate. The batter will become slightly thicker, making it easier to fold into the whipped egg whites while helping the bagels bake with a lighter, more even texture. And now it's time to whip the egg whites. I'm going to use a stand mixer for this step, but a hand mixer works just as well, or you can whisk them directly by hand if you don't mind a little extra effort. We're looking for medium peaks, where the egg whites hold their shape but the tips gently fold over. This stage gives the batter the lift it needs without making it difficult to fold together. Be careful not to overwhip them, as dry, stiff egg whites won't incorporate easily. Keeping them light and glossy will help create a soft, noticeable difference in the final texture. Now we'll fold in the whipped egg whites into the batter in 3 additions. Mix the first third in a little bit more firmly to lighten the batter, then gently fold in the remaining 2 additions just until everything is combined. Folding instead of stirring helps preserve the air that we just whipped into the egg whites. Those tiny air bubbles are what gives the bagel their light, soft texture. Be gentle here, as overmixing will knock out the volume. Once there are no large streaks of egg white remaining, the batter is ready for the molds. When I first started developing carnivore breads, I kept thinking the recipes needed more ingredients or more complicated techniques. It took a lot of trial and error to realize that success often comes down to the small details, like how you fold the batter in and how long you let it rest. Sometimes the simplest steps make the biggest difference. That's one of the things I enjoy most about recipe development. Every batch teaches me something new, and those little improvements eventually turn into recipes I'm excited to share with you. Using some of the leftover browned butter, we'll lightly grease each well of the bagel mold. I'm using a medium-sized mold here from platinum cured silicone, as it's one of the safest and most reliable materials for baking. Lower quality silicone can release unwanted compounds when exposed to high heat, so I always recommend choosing platinum cured silicone whenever possible. For this step, I'm using a natural boar bristle pastry brush, which makes it easy to coat each mold evenly without wasting any butter. The number of bagels you'll be able to make will depend on the size of your mold. With these medium-sized molds, this recipe makes about 12 bagels. If you're using a larger mold, you'll simply end up with fewer, larger bagels. Fill each cavity about 90% full to give the bagels room to rise and still maintain their classic shape. Now we'll divide the batter evenly among the prepared bagel molds. It's important to work fairly quickly at this stage, as the batter will gradually begin to lose volume and may start separating the longer it sits. Once they're filled, smooth the tops with a spoon or the spatula, and then gently tap the pan on the counter a couple of times to release any large air bubbles. Bake the bagels for 18 to 20 minutes, then rotate the pan to promote even browning and increase the temperature to 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 177 degrees Celsius, and continue to bake for another 5 minutes or so until the bagels are lightly golden and feel set when gently pressed. Once the bagels come out of the oven, let them rest in the molds for about 5 minutes. This gives them the best chance to firm up before removing them. Then carefully transfer them to a wire rack and allow them to cool completely for another 30 to 45 minutes before slicing. It might be tempting to cut into them right away, but giving them time to fully cool helps the crumbs set and finish and gives you the best texture. And here we have our finished medium-sized carnivore bagels. They're soft and tender inside while still being sturdy enough to hold their shape for all your favorite toppings and sandwiches. I do want to point out one thing about this batch. Because I was filming, I wasn't able to get the batter into the oven as quickly as I would have liked. As a result, it began to separate slightly, giving the tops a lighter texture while the bottom became a little denser. If you work efficiently once the egg whites are folded in, your bagels should have much more of an even crumb from top to bottom. As with most baking recipes, every oven behaves a little differently, so don't be discouraged if your first batch isn't absolutely perfect. Small adjustments to baking time or temperature may be all that's needed to suit your oven. Once you've made them once or twice, you'll quickly learn exactly what works best. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised just how soft, versatile, and satisfying these carnivore bagels can be. These bagels are incredibly versatile. Store any leftover bagels in an airtight container in the refrigerator for up to 5 days. When you're ready to enjoy one, just pop it into the toaster or toaster oven to bring them back to that fresh baked texture. For me, nothing beats a warm, toasted bagel with melted butter. And here are a few of my favorite ways to enjoy them. I've topped these with bacon and cheese, plain cream cheese, deli meat with Havarti cheese, and my personal favorite, simply toasted with plenty of butter. They're also delicious with smoked salmon and cream cheese, sliced roast beef, leftover steak, hamburger patties, and even breakfast sausage and cheese. Thank you so much for joining me in the kitchen today. If you enjoyed this recipe, I'd love to have you subscribe for more carnivore recipes, and feel free to visit carnivorecollections.com for the full recipe card. Until next time, happy cooking!